So with Ultimate ADAS this year, what we're showing here that's new are we have new targets from Toyota. So that is something that for Hunter is really important, is that we're always working with the OEMs, we're getting OEM approval. So we have approval from Toyota and Lexus, which is why we're demoing one of the Lexus vehicles here today with the new targets. We have approvals now from Toyota, Lexus, Mazda, Kia, Honda, Acura. Drawing a blank all of a sudden. We have 9. I'm drawing a blank. I have to look at the sign here. Honda, Acura, Toyota, Lexus, Nissan, Infiniti, Kia, Mazda. Yeah. Okay. I think I covered them all now. That was not a great explanation of it, but I do think I got them all finally.
Don't worry. Don't edit it.
Okay. And so for us, OEM approvals is a really important part of how we go to market. The equipment that we're selling, we want to make sure that the OEMs are looking at what we're doing and they're saying, yes, you either meet or exceed our stringent quality control, our stringent measurement tests and things like that. So we're always really happy whenever we get additional approvals. We have several others that are in active talks with OEMs, so we'll be announcing additional OEM approvals shortly. But I think the other thing that we're doing here at the show is we've kind of set up a garage space. And on this side with the Lexus, we are really kind of talking to collision shops and calibration centers that want to do a little bit of everything, right? They want to do around the vehicle resets. They see a large number of vehicles that are coming in that have calibrations that are not necessarily only forward-facing. And so we set that up and we want people to come in, right? Like we've got people actively demoing and we want customers to get hands-on with this and really see firsthand how efficient the equipment can make you. Because when we look at placing a target for a calibration, certain procedures from the OEMs, if you're following the OEM procedure and using string and plumb bob and tape measure and things like that, it can take 45, 50 minutes just to place the target. That's not even to do the calibration. And so for us, being able to demonstrate that we can take a 45-minute procedure and do that in 7 minutes, it's not only just an efficiency gain, right? Like, yes, it is technically faster, and yes, I could theoretically do more of these, but it's also an ergonomic and a actual physical gain for the technician, right? Now I'm no longer crawling around on the floor on my hands and knees and I'm getting up and down multiple times. I'm letting the system use its laser measurements and lasers on the floor and say, this is exactly where you need to place this target. And not only is this exactly where you need to place this target, but we're gonna verify that you use the right target, and we're going to verify that it's in the exact right position before we allow you to even move forward to do the calibration. And then we're going to provide all that into comprehensive documentation that can then be shared with insurers, with customers, saved to a customer file, so that you can always prove and demonstrate that you have actually done the work that you said you were going to do. Being able to actually provide the documentation and show where the vehicle was in 3D space, where the target was in reference to that vehicle in 3D space, and then package all that up with before and after to say, here, I actually have done this calibration, is gonna be something that I think the collision industry in particular is really gonna start to have to figure out with insurers is, I can prove that I've done this, I can prove that I've done it to OE spec or better, and I have all the documentation that should help me end up getting reimbursement from the insurer for those procedures. The Hawkeye X is our new aligner. So this is effectively going to be replacing one of our bigger cabinet configurations of a Hawkeye Elite aligner. But what makes the Hawkeye X really unique is that it's actually the same cabinet that we use for Ultimate ADAS. And we've got a little bit of different hardware on the back of it, but what it allows a shop to do is, if they're not ready to get into doing ADAS calibrations right this second, but they know they need to be doing alignments, this is a great option for them if they want to upgrade in the future, because this gives them an upgrade path to be able to move to an Ultimate ADAS somewhere down the road. It's still powered by Hunter's WinAlign software, so it's still the most efficient alignment software in the industry. We have the largest spec database in the industry, And then tools and guides and kits are all built into the software to help guide the technician. So, if a shop wants to get into alignment and they're like, well, I don't have anybody, I don't have a mechanical guy, I don't know anybody that can do this work, there's a lot of resources that Hunter builds into the software itself to help a technician or anybody new to it to better understand. So we've got things like tools and kits. So when you get to a part of the procedure where you're actually going to adjust toe or camber or something like that, we will tell you exactly what tools you need. We'll show you animations or actual imagery of that vehicle and what specifically you're going to adjust. And then we'll give you guidance on screen to say, hey, this is what you need to do. Move it in this direction until you get everything green, and then you're good and you can tighten it back up. Beyond just the software though, every piece of Hunter equipment that gets installed, we have dedicated technical and training representatives that do the install, and they also train the shop after install how to use that equipment. And then beyond that, we have over 50 regional training centers in the United States and Canada, and we do in-person and online training. And so if you could basically take anybody off the street and send them to a 3-day alignment class at one of our training centers, and then with the equipment itself and the technical training representative, you could have somebody up and running within a week doing alignments. Between the tire changer and the balancer, I think it's worth talking about for collision because it's another one of those things where we're adding autonomy to different aspects of tire changing and balancing. And the balancer itself is also a diagnostic tool. It can check how round a wheel is, it can check high spots and low spots on tires, and then it can match mount those things to create a better ride. It can also tell you if a wheel is just so bent that it's not savable, basically. And a lot of times you can't always see that stuff. You'd think that you'd be able to see stuff like that, but when a wheel gets really, really out of round, it doesn't always display as looking lopsided. And so having a diagnostic balancer like that can help identify those things. So this is our Revolution tire changer with walkaway, and then this is our all-new Road Force walkaway balancer. And both of these have automations built into them. So the Revolution has been around for a while. It has a walkaway feature where if you're doing a set of 4 tires, you do the first tire, you take it off, you put the new tire on, and then all the subsequent wheels and tires, you are just setting where the TPMS sensor is, and you let the machine take the tire off for you. You don't have to stand there, you don't have to operate anything. And why that is really important, and I think it's relevant to collision shops, is because as collision shops look to find ways to increase revenue, as car counts are down and payments are down and things like that, mechanical is a great way to add additional revenue streams, right? This is stuff that gets worked on anyway, but more often than not, it's being outsourced, to a local dealership or a local shop that they have a partnership with. But bringing that capability in-house means they keep control of quality and they keep control of cycle times, and they can ultimately get reimbursed from insurers for this type of stuff too, right? What the Revolution does, because it has a touchscreen on it and because it's just like the alignment software, it has training videos on board, but it has step-by-step guidance. So really anybody within a half hour, maybe an hour of hands-on training from a Hunter technical and training representative can get up to speed and start changing tires on this tire changer. You don't have to have lots of experience. You're not gonna break a sweat as you try to pull beads over the rim edge and stuff like that. And so what it does is it kind of like democratizes tire changing in that you could put a 19.5 steel wheel from a skid steer on here and change that in 2 minutes. You could put a standard SUV tire on here and change it in 2 minutes. You could put a high performance Z06 tire on here and change that in 2 minutes. So it gives anybody the ability to change sometimes really challenging assemblies because they're not the ones making all of the hard decisions. The machine is doing that for them, and all they're doing is they're just standing there with their foot on a pedal. When we pair that with our new Road Force walkaway, what's new with this is that we used to have an inflation hose right here.
We're getting somebody.
And what we have done now is we moved that inflation hose over here onto an arm, and we've added this automated chuck on the end of the arm. And so historically, when doing a tire change and balance, it was always a very linear process. You'd take all 4 tires, you'd put all 4 new tires on it, you'd inflate all of those tires, and then you'd bring all 4 of them over here and you'd balance all 4 of them. What walkaway allows us to do is to start the inflation on the tire changer just to get the bead seated, and then take that tire off, bring it over here, clamp it onto the balancer, put the automated chuck on there, let that finish inflating while it's on the balancer. You'll pull the hood down and it will automatically release the chuck when it hits the set PSI. And once it releases the chuck, then it'll spin the wheel to do the balance. We'll bring the load roller in, and the load roller is the diagnostic part of this. So between the lasers and cameras that we have here, and then the load roller, that's where we check for things like out of round or wheels that could potentially have bends in them that you don't see with the naked eye. Then once that balance is done, the technician will come here and add weight, but because we have automated time on this and on this, it gives the technician the ability to overlap these things. Whereas previously it was this very linear process. Now I can start to stack things up and I can start to overlap. And I can, if a 4-tire changeover, on a traditional tire changer and balancer would take 35 or 40 minutes. Now with this, somebody who doesn't even have a ton of skill as a tire changer can change tires, mount and balance them in 20 minutes. And so we're talking about like a 45% time savings just from adding an automated air chuck, which almost seems a little counterintuitive. But when you see it in action and you see the process that I have multiple times a minute or more where I'm not physically doing anything, the machine is doing it for me, then you start to see, oh yeah, I can go actually do other things. And it doesn't always have to be changing a tire, right? As a collision shop, I'm probably not high volume enough to need to really hit those high efficiency gains. But what it does is it gives that user confidence and the ability to do other things during those automated periods.